Oh, yeah. So I was doing some thinking, and I'm just thinking, why don't I make my gym fee avocados? If I love avocados so much, and I'm trying to make this whole gym thing just a hobby so that I don't have to report it to taxes, then why take any payment at all? Why not just make the payment avocados? You bring me 2 avocados, and boom, you have the whole day to work out. Say you want to work out the next day, and you come in and you bring me like 2 avocados, boom, you have the whole day free to work out. I think that's just how it needs to go. But I mean, I feel like it's a pretty valid plan. You know, no money changes hands, so that means it's not a business. It's absolutely cannot possibly be misconstrued as a business because nobody's paying me. They're bringing me avocados. That's not payment. That's food. That's making sure that I eat in order to keep my gym up and running because they want to use it. So that's not payment. That's food. You know, anybody can look at it how they want, really, but the U.S. government cannot look at it as payment because it's not payment. It's not money. It's avocados. I'll take avocados as payment. Hell yes, I will. But and no, anyway, I had some comments from people who know me, not actually on YouTube, on my channel, on my videos. But they're like, "Yo, why do you hate on people who drive and people with disabilities so much?" And I'm like, well, obviously, first of all, I definitely don't hate on people with disabilities. I have disabilities. I don't appreciate when people want to use it as an excuse to not work, because I know people with very, very, very crippling disabilities that still work their ass off, still work 40 hours a week. And you know what? Yes, it is absolutely debilitating to them, but you know what? They do it. They work their ass off, and you know, maybe they don't have children that they need to supply for, but they work their ass off and they make sure that they do their part. So there's no reason that somebody who's got bipolar can't work. Simple as that. I'm not saying that bipolar doesn't exist. I'm not insulting anyone with bipolar. It's not just bipolar. It's everything. It's autism. It's any mental disorder that you can think of. I'm sorry, but if you are mentally disordered, that does not mean you can't work. And you know, again, we come back to, well, why are you hating on people with mental disabilities? I can't. I have multiple mental disabilities, okay? I've got PTSD, major depressive disorder, and then to top it all off, I've had so many other ones thrown around just because nobody can really come up with what the hell is wrong with me. Because, I mean, first of all, I never stay in one place long enough. You know, as far as the actual legal stuff went, that wasn't really related to my mental health. That was more related to actually my vision. But, you know, they did pin down a PTSD diagnosis. They did pin down a depression diagnosis. They decided that I should be seeing a psychologist, for more extensive diagnoses, because obviously there's something else wrong with me. Bipolar was thrown around, so again, I really can't hate on people with bipolar. I'm just saying you can work. I'm not hating. I'm just saying you can work. You absolutely, most definitely can work. You know, there was borderline personality disorder thrown around. There was Asperger's thrown around. ADHD was thrown around when I was a kid, but that didn't really get horribly thrown around as an adult during my whole 3-year bull crap getting analyzed and whatnot. Can you work? Can you actually work, or do we need to force you on disability? Well, no, nobody should be forced on disability. Everybody absolutely has the right to work. I don't care if you have bipolar, you can work, and therefore you have the right to work, and therefore actually you should work. Because there's people out there who have lost limbs, completely lost, and still work with a prosthetic limb. Some of them just work in a wheelchair. I mean, for God's sake, there's no reason that a person with bipolar can't work. Okay? And then on top of that, there's me looking at you right now through this camera. I've got how many mental disorders that got thrown around saying, oh, well, she might have this, she might have that. You know, we should make her sit for another year and come into weekly sessions just so we can figure out what's wrong with her. Well, no, this bitch ain't got time for that. So this bitch didn't go to do that shit because I shouldn't have to. You know, I'm functioning, and quite frankly, I work twice as hard as a lot of the general public. I have my goals. And quite frankly, I'm not willing to be stopped or slowed down in my goals just because a bunch of other people want to be like, oh, well, maybe she's got this, or maybe she's got that, or maybe this is what's wrong with her. No, you know what? I'm crazy. I'm just crazy. That's all there is to it. That's all that there needs to be to it. It doesn't need to have a name. It doesn't need to be Asperger's. It doesn't need to be bipolar. It doesn't need to be borderline personality disorder. It doesn't need to be all of them. It doesn't need to be none of them. It doesn't need to just be depression and PTSD. It doesn't need to be any of that. I don't need to be labeled like that, first of all, and second of all, it's got nothing to do with the stigma. I mean, like, there is a bit of a stigma on certain things, at one job interview, I stated that I had PTSD, and, my goal in life is to adopt a child who's going to grow up with PTSD and teach them how to deal with their PTSD, and they were like, oh, so, does that mean that you get triggered in daily situations? Like, is there anything that we would do during a work day that would trigger you? And then all of a sudden the interview just turned into my PTSD. And then I didn't get the job. And then it's like, wow, thanks. That's stigma right there. And I mean, other mental disorders do also have that stigma, and it's like, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need medication either, because quite frankly, back when I was on medication, I was actually doing 1,000 times worse, but I was hiding it 1,000 times better, and it was just a complete mess. Like I said, I was 1,000 times worse, but I was hiding it 1,000 times better. So nobody knew how much worse I was actually getting. And then, to top it all off, I was like, you know what? I'm already wasting enough time on what I'm already doing. I don't want to waste any more time being like, oh, hey, yeah, this isn't actually working. This is making it worse. And then end up having to spend even more time trying to figure out how to fix that. And then even more time trying to figure out how to fix that when that failed. I wasn't having any of it. I have goals. I have goals, and I don't have time to stop and worry about mental health when I know how to function. Just work out a lot and work a lot. I think honestly that's pretty much all that a lot of mental health disorders need is work. Just work. You know, I know it sounds hard, but once you find that job that you're really good at or that you really fit into, it actually is so rewarding that it can seriously improve your mental health symptoms. So by saying that, oh, I have bipolar, I can't work, you're actually damaging yourself. And then on top of that, you're taking my tax dollars that could be paying for my health insurance, or that could be allotting food stamps to more people, such as, you know, people who make $12 an hour, but you know, still would like some of their tax dollars back. I mean, you know, freaking Bernie is saying that $15 an hour should be the minimum wage. So if I'm making $12 an hour, then I'm not. I'm actually making slightly more than that, but, you know, I rounded down because taxes. Anyway, if that's what I'm making, then yes, I most definitely should be getting free health insurance from the government. I should be getting food stamps from the government as well. It's got nothing to do with how much rent I pay. Yes, I have a nice place. Yeah, whatever. It's got nothing to do with that. And especially because I am by myself, I don't have a significant other to help me in all that stuff. I most definitely should be getting some of my tax dollars back, especially considering how many tax dollars actually get taken out of what I make. I most definitely should be getting some of my tax dollars back, but I'm not. Because people want to be like, oh, I have bipolar, I can't work. Oh, I have this, I can't work. Oh, I have that mental disorder, I can't work. Oh, I have these two mental disorders, I can't work. Yes, honey, yes, you can. Yes, you can. I'm sorry, but if you're using a mental disorder to not work, you're just lazy. You're just lazy. And that's the bottom line. As far as other disabilities, like I said, I have borne witness to people missing limbs who still work. You know, if you're paralyzed from the neck down, okay. By all means, I would love to have some of my tax dollars go to help you pay your bills, to help you pay your rent. I would love for some of my tax dollars to go towards that. But the thing is that's not what my tax dollars are going towards. Those people who are paralyzed from the neck down only make $750 a month. Because there's all these people with mental disorders claiming that they can't work when they can, also claiming $750 a month, except that a lot of those people, you know, they're not actually disabled, so they're still having sex, which means they're still having children, which means they have dependents who depend on them, which means they're making extra food stamps, extra money each month per child. It's not right. Okay? So no, I'm not hating on people with disabilities. I very much appreciate people with disabilities, and in fact, most people with disabilities are actually like way stronger than people without disabilities. Take that from somebody with disabilities. Anyway, as I was saying, most people with disabilities are actually stronger than people without disabilities. So I am not hating on anyone with a disability. No, I'm not. I'm hating on the people who claim that they can't work and collect my tax dollars when they absolutely, most definitely can work. I'm sorry, but if you have the energy to make children, you can work. You can't just make children and expect people to believe that you can't work. I'm sorry, but if you have the energy to make children, you have the energy to work. You should be worried about working before you're worried about making children. I'm out of time, so toodaloo. Anyway, I'm gonna finish eating avocados. If you agree with me, comment with an avocado emoji. Toodles.